Good afternoon. We're back in the basement at the Jacobs house. Today we're going to be tying a mayfly imitation called an American March Brown. It's a trout fly. Uh, Scientifically, I think that the creature that we call an American March Brown hereabouts is probably a Stenonema vicarium. Uh, it's a large insect as it goes for among our mayflies. I think about the only larger trout stream in a mayfly that I could think of around here would be the Hexagenia limbata, or perhaps late in summer the Isonychia species or the white-gloved howdies. I mentioned so much of the Latin because we want to talk a little bit about mayfly lifestyle before we tie this fly. Mayflies are an interesting creature. They hatch out of an egg in the water. Then after about draw their oxygen out of the water through gills, find their food subsurface. But then after anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on species, will rise to the surface, usually in large numbers of the same species at the same time, split their larval exoskeleton, and out of which a creature we call a dun will emerge, an adult. It'll have dull wings and a fairly dull body and shorter, relatively short tails, about body length. So there's no larval stage no pupal stage, to a mayfly, but there is a second adult stage, which is unusual. That dun will molt again while hanging in some streamside foliage or something like that, and then that creature we call an imago or spinner, and it'll have nearly clear wings and longer tail and a more slender, shinier body. Go to all this trouble to tell you because one of the secrets to the success of fly fishing is supposed to be that fishing the hatch, the big hatch. Well, these Stenonema have a slightly different lifestyle. They don't tend to emerge in huge numbers. They just sort of drift off through the day. The idea being that they might not attract the attention of various predators, trout or birds or whatnot, by just sort of petering off through the course of the day. But they do find it to their advantage evolutionarily to get together in mass swarms in the evening to mate and lay their eggs. Many mayfly spinners, the females lay their eggs by just collapsing onto the water, their wings spent, and then they'll extrude the eggs into the water. Stenonema spinners will have an egg sac at their rear, and they'll dip that abdomen into the water and skitter around to lay their eggs, which is why this particular fly has a full hackle rather than the typical spent wing feature that you see on so many spinners. That's probably just about enough science. This is a fly that I like to tie. I like to fish. It's usually, you can find these insects in June, roughly. So the evenings are pleasant and long. It's all kind of done at last light. That's another thing I might mention is that if you're out and you see fish rising, and you can't really figure out why, often anglers think that that's caddisflies, and sometimes it is, but it could very well be these too. If you look up into the fading light, you might see a lot of these flies silhouetted against the night sky or the late evening sky. So let's try to get rolling on this. We're going to start with a size 10 100 TMCO hook that I previously debarbed. The rest of the materials, roughly in order of use, are the tails are going to be moose body hair fibers, maybe 6 to 10 of them or thereabouts. The segmentation in that fly, the segmentation is prominent in these flies. They're kind of a pale tan with obvious ribbing in them. This is going to be this is old Fenwick size A nylon rod winding thread. You may not have that, but I think any heavy sewing thread in brown would do for the ribbing. Super fine tan dubbing of your choice, and then the only other thing is a hackle feather of some sort. I have a neck called the dark champagne. I think that grizzly would do as well. Dun, the the various modeled ones are probably the best. So with that, let's get rolling here. We'll start our thread, which I guess I should tell you is a Uni 8/0 in tan, and we'll start that at about 1/3 back on the shank. I like to do this again to tell us about our proportions, and this thread base will also be something to secure the tailing fibers against. We'll get back to so that if we were to drop the thread, it would hang at about the barb. Then we'll make a few turns there. We'll create a little knob there. That knob serves to sort of splay the fibers out. We'd cut anywhere from 6 to 10 or a dozen, whatever. You can start with a few excess fibers and then trim them from the hide. And there's going to be under fur in these fibers as well, so we can brush them out. I've got some preloaded in a stacker here. I'm not going to pound. This stuff stacks right up. You don't have to pound too hard on that. That evens up the tips so that they're all the same length. Then, grasping them in our temporarily in our scissors hand, we'll measure them for length against the shank of the hook. And when it's about the full length of the shank or a little bit better, so then we can transfer that back, transfer it to our materials hand, give the thread a quick spin, pinch that all down, take a quick wrap, and then so you'll see how the fibers spread out a little bit. That'll help in the flotation of this fly. And then the moose hair is hollow, so if we don't smash it too flat, it can add a little bit of flotation to this fly too. So we'll come forward with that, get them up out of our way, get rid of them. These butts, bind the butts down. Then take a length of your thread, your segmenting thread, and tie that in on the near side. You can make a soft loop to catch it and then draw it back. We'll arrange the thread so that it stays on the near side toward me. Then we'll want to dub our body. We want to dub this fairly sparsely. This is a fly that we'll trim away we'll get that out of the way, put it in our material clip for the moment. You want your dubbing to be good and dense on this fly. That'll make it less likely to absorb water and sink. So we'll try to have a fairly thin dubbing noodle. Slide that up. This back so it starts at the very tail. Then we'll want to constantly increase the diameter as we come forward. All that. Then once we've dubbed our body, we can take our segmentation thread and make open spiral wraps forward with that. Try to keep them evenly spaced. There we go. Hold that up, throw the thread over it to secure it. Trim away the excess rod winding thread. We'll secure our hackle feather. I've trimmed this to size already. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, but I've trimmed this down so that there are just little bits of barb jewels sticking out. That'll help the thread grab the shaft as it comes forward, and then we'll tie it with a dull side forward, shiny side back. Then we'll take just the tiniest wisp of dubbing, form a little bit of an underbody. take some hackle pliers, and we'll wind the hackle forward as dense a turns as we possibly can here. Get this started just right. There we go. We'll just butt the turns tight to one another as we come forward. Hold that up, throw the thread over it, time or two, trim that away, shorten up our thread here a little bit, kind of pull this back out of the way a little bit to make a couple more, create a little bit of a head than our standard, about a 5-turn whip finish, I suppose. Trying to stay clear of the hackle fibers as much as you can. If you catch any of them, you can trim them away. Trim away our thread. We get a little bit of fly tight head cement here on those thread wraps to secure that. This is a fly that I stress flotation on this. You might want to, before you use this fly, dunk it in a product like this. This one's called Flyagra. It's a pre-treatment to waterproof flies. You'll still need to dry them out stream side and even add a little bit of floating while you fish them, but it helps keep the dubbing and so on from just soaking up thread. Again, it's a fun fly to fish. The fish will take them avidly at the right time of the year, and it's just another one of those things that you want to be prepared for when you're out there in the nicest part of the year that we have, I think, and you see fish rising late at night, and you don't want to go home because it's just too nice an evening. You can fish these. Have a good time with them. Thank you. Bye now.